Welcome to this final explainer on disability awareness in mental health and rehabilitation counseling. Throughout our previous discussions, we've explored disability from a ton of different angles. We've looked at definitions, categories, history, legislation, and even dug into some of the more complex topics like disability identity, ableism, and microaggressions. Well, now we're bringing it all together. It's time to take everything we've learned and connect those vital concepts straight to our clinical practice and our professional responsibilities. I'm incredibly excited to guide you through this because this is the moment where all that theory actually transforms into actionable ethical counseling practice.
Okay, let's dive into this. Our roadmap for today is pretty straightforward, but it's packed with impact. First, we'll cover disability, diversity, and language. Second, we'll review the models of disability. Third, advocacy and accessibility. Fourth, empowerment and counseling. And finally, number 5, we'll wrap up with reflection and application. We're taking a journey from the core foundational concepts all the way down to deep clinical self-reflection.
All right, Section 1, Disability, Diversity, and Language.
Let's kick things off by reminding ourselves of a really fundamental truth. Disability is just inherently diverse. It's totally multidimensional. It's literally never limited to one single diagnosis, appearance, or level of functioning. Disabilities span a massive spectrum. They can be highly visible or completely invisible. They might be physical, psychiatric, developmental, or sensory. We're talking chronic, temporary, or even lifelong. And because every single person experiences disability differently, based on things like their personal history, culture, environment, and their access to support systems, we have a really clear mandate. As counselors, we absolutely must approach every single client with curiosity, respect, and openness. We have to leave our assumptions at the door.
And this brilliantly illustrates why language matters so deeply. The words we use can either support someone's dignity or they can unintentionally reinforce stigma. So respecting a client's language preference is a huge part of culturally responsive practice. This really comes down to understanding the difference between person-first language and identity-first language. Some folks strongly prefer person-first, putting the person before the disability, but others find immense empowerment in identity-first language. We can never, ever assume. Instead, we just need to ask respectfully and honor whatever preference supports that client's autonomy. Moving right along to Section 2, Models of Disability.
You know, how society frames disability heavily influences our clinical practice. These models, moral, biomedical, functional, biopsychosocial, and sociopolitical, they aren't just dry academic theories. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is if you look at how they connect. These frameworks actively shape our real-world healthcare systems, counseling approaches, education, workplace accommodations, and public policies. Being aware of these perspectives is super useful for us. It helps us check our own biases and really understand how the systems surrounding our clients might be supporting them or disadvantaging them.
Which brings us to Section 3, Advocacy and Accessibility. Here is where we really shift the narrative from just understanding disability frameworks to stepping into the active role of an advocate. Disability awareness isn't just about memorizing diagnoses or citing the ADA, it's about getting in there and actively challenging ableism alongside your clients. This means supporting accommodations, promoting true accessibility, educating the people around us, and addressing discrimination head-on. It's about empowering clients to make their own choices and collaborating with schools or employers to clear the path. It's a continuous, active effort to tear down systemic barriers. But to be a truly effective advocate, you've got to practice cultural humility. Essentially, this means owning the fact that we are always learning. We can't assume we're the experts on someone else's lived experience because we aren't. Instead, we need to approach our clients with genuine openness, a habit of self-reflection, and a real willingness to just listen. Make no mistake, this is absolutely the foundational mindset you need for ethical counseling.
And putting that humility into practice means guaranteeing real accessibility. I want to stress this. Accessibility is an ongoing commitment. It's not just a one-and-done physical adjustment like putting a ramp outside the office. Truly affirming environments involve flexible communication, accessible tech, inclusive language, sensory considerations, and, honestly, maybe most importantly, emotional safety. When we focus on the whole shebang, we build incredible trust and a much stronger therapeutic relationship.
Let's keep that momentum going into Section 4, Empowerment in Counseling. Let's zoom back in to see how this looks when you're sitting face-to-face with a client. There's a quote here that hits the nail on the head. Rehabilitation counseling is not simply about fixing individuals or helping them fit into systems. So the crucial point is this. We aren't mechanics, and our clients aren't broken. Our core job is to empower.
It's about supporting autonomy, self-determination, and helping clients reach the meaningful life goals they define for themselves.
And that naturally flows into the strengths-based approach. Yes, living with a disability can definitely involve serious challenges and barriers, but individuals with disabilities also bring incredible resilience, deep creativity, highly refined coping skills, unique talents, and tremendously valuable lived experiences to the table. A true strengths-based perspective flips the script, focusing powerfully on these resources and possibilities rather than just zooming in on limitations.
But we can't ignore the environment. We have to address the systems themselves. A lot of the time, the difficulties a client faces are deeply rooted in inaccessible systems. We're talking discriminatory policies, financial hurdles, transportation barriers, or societal stigma. It's not always an individual problem. So as counselors, we have to step up, collaborate across disciplines, and advocate for broader social change so our clients can actually navigate and overcome these hurdles.
All right, Section 5, Reflection and Application.
For this final part of the explainer, we're going to take a bit of a reflective pause. So just take a breath for a second. Ask yourself honestly, how comfortable are you with describing the concept of disability now? How familiar do you feel with the different models we discussed, like the biomedical or sociopolitical models? Let that sink in. Take a moment to really gauge your own foundational knowledge and comfort level.
Now, think about your own starting point. What preconceptions or assumptions about disability have you personally become more aware of during this learning process? Are you feeling confident in your ability to communicate respectfully with folks from different disability communities? Recognizing our own internal biases is literally step one in creating a more inclusive space. Let's apply this clinically for a second. Imagine you have a client who feels deeply ashamed about requesting the accommodations they need. How would you support them? Think back to that concept of emotional safety and validation we talked about earlier. How do you empower that vulnerable client to embrace their own autonomy? And finally, try synthesizing some of these ideas. What specific barriers might affect a client living with a chronic illness or a psychiatric disability? Consider the systemic barriers, the ableist language, and the microaggressions we've covered. How would you step up and respond if you saw this client facing discrimination at work or at school? As you hold those thoughts, I want you to remember this. Disability awareness is not a single lesson. It's definitely not a box you just check off and say, okay, I'm done. No way. It is a dynamic, ongoing process of learning, reflection, advocacy, humility, and inclusion. We have to keep listening to disabled voices. We have to actively call out ableism when we see it, and we have to fiercely champion equity.
So I want to leave you with this final, absolutely crucial question. How will you create environments where individuals with disabilities feel respected, empowered, understood, and valued? Thank you so much for engaging with this explainer. Take this commitment into your future practice, and let's build some truly supportive, accessible systems for everyone. Keep learning, keep advocating, and I'll see you next time.